Good afternoon, cult members and Whovians, and welcome to the Pop Culture Cult. I'm Sean.
I'm Janice.
This is going to be our instantly after the episode review and reaction to season 2 of Inchuti's Doctor, episode 3. This one's called The Well. If we're a little late on this one, they drop them at midnight for us, and so it's.
And it's a Saturday.
And it's a Saturday.
We got things to do.
And we're in the middle of putting together our lives in a box to move to a different area of the country. And so it's been a little...
we're busy.
Hectic. Yeah. We're moving to the Pacific Northwest, Portland area. So if any of the fandom is up there in the Whovian sphere or geekdom sphere or whatever, tell us cool places to hang out. Okay, so with all that out of the way, if you haven't been to one of our reviews, we're going to do spoiler-filled discussion. This one is going to be essentially one straight line. Normally we kind of wander.
Okay.
This is going to be kind of a straight line. We are revisiting the episode Midnight from Tenet.
Yep. And Donna.
Yep. So it's not that they haven't gone back to other planets, the same planets multiple times outside of Earth. They go to Earth all the freaking time.
Well, they go to Cardiff all the time.
They go to Cardiff, yeah. And they've been to Gallifrey every 8th time they've blown up Gallifrey. But it's not like they haven't done this before, but it's not very typical for them to go back around to one of these episodes.
But as soon as they landed on the planet, you heard Tennant's music.
Do 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 do. And I didn't quite catch it. And she's like, was that the Tenet music? And I'm like, what? So we backed it up to listen to it. I really like this. I hate that episode. It's called Midnight with Tenet, and it's the creature taking over Tenet's body and convincing everybody to kill him, essentially, and on this ice planet that is an actual like resort planet. Diamond. Sorry, Diamond planet. That's essentially a resort planet, and it's the Doctor by himself on a tour bus with a bunch of normies.
Except we get what is his name that's on the bus?
It's not John Boyega. That's what you're thinking.
No. It's not John Boyega. It's
Keep talking.
What is his name?
Everybody talk amongst yourselves. No, that's the whole series. IMDb hates us. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, it's the whole series. So
it's
got
the whole
Billy
series.
Porter and it was there and then it was gone. From Get Out.
No, that's the other bus episode. I know what you're talking about. Daniel Cuyé.
Yes.
That's the other bus episode where they get taken to the sand planet while they were when the one girl was trying to do the heist.
Okay. Then I have the bus episodes all merged into one.
Yeah,
That's all. I don't remember 2 episodes.
You don't? Okay, yeah. I there's Midnight and there's that one that is the brunette is trying to steal something and they go through a portal and that's where Daniel Cuyé was and they end up being on the sand dunes kind of thing.
Yes.
And so so there's a couple different episodes on buses, I guess. They even showed Tenet in this episode.
Yeah.
Going to battle against the unseeable creature.
Right.
Now, we got Tenet again as the 14th Doctor. Is this hinting at him coming back?
I don't know. Is it?
Do you think so?
I don't know.
Because there's been some like lingering questions about the bi generation, and there's been wondering if Tennant's going to come back around.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know that this specifically has anything to do with that, but maybe. I don't know.
It feels like a fun Easter egg kind of thing that could be leading to something else, and it could be leading to nothing because that's Davies, and and he'll go.
I mean, I think they're going to have to do it a couple more times for it to be anything.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. What happens in this episode is they the Belinda and the Doctor immediately after the last episode are trying to get back to Earth,
Right?
And Belinda is asking why they can't get back, and the Doctor can't give her an answer because he doesn't know.
Yeah.
And he actually says, "I don't know."
Yeah.
Which is something that previous Doctors wouldn't do.
Right.
At least not on a regular basis.
Yeah.
Because Matt Smith's Doctor, after getting prodded by Amy all the time, finally starts giving in. But this version of the Doctor has been very forthcoming.
Yeah, I think he's a little bit more like Tennant and Smith were. Like, Capaldi was just angry, and Jodie, like Capaldi and Jodie specifically, would never have said that they don't know.
Yeah.
But I think there were times when Matt Smith's Doctor was like, oh, I don't know what's going on. So
I'm figuring it out. But they get to the TARDIS pushes them to 50,000 years in the future. Is that
something like that. 40,000 years. Yeah, it was
and
way in the future.
Belinda asks, "Are there humans here?" And the Doctor explains, like, all of us Whovians know that Earthlings, humans leave Earth and go conquer the stars.
Yeah.
And so there's everywhere they go in the future, there's humans.
Right.
And they get on this ship and they space jump to this mine, this carbon 46 mining facility, and they find out that everybody there is dead. They've either been shot or they have been shattered into 1,000 pieces.
Yeah, basically had their necks broken or whatever. Yeah.
And they end up finding this young woman, Alice Finley, who is mostly deaf, who is able to speak, but they do ASL. And
well, the Doctor does.
The Doctor does.
The other people don't because they have these little communicator things or whatever that type everything out. Although it didn't make sense because one of the crew people, when Belinda said, "I don't sign," and one of the crew people said, "That's illegal."
Yeah.
And why?
Yeah.
Why would it be illegal if they have these text things on their... I was like, that didn't make sense to me. I don't know.
It was one of those things I was like, that's a very interesting thing to say, but then it gives us, the audience, something to actually, instead of putting subtitles on the screen, they put subtitles in the shot. And so,
but they could have signed and spoke.
The Doctor did that a couple of times.
Right.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, many people that, especially if you're in a conversation and one person, is deaf or needs, sign language to understand the majority of the conversation, then usually the people that can speak will speak.
Yeah, yeah.
So I was like, why is it illegal if you just have these little text things on your chest? I don't know. I didn't get that.
Yeah. This particular race are all human-like, but there's definitely a different feel to them, a very militaristic. Like you were saying, like you can't sign was against the law, and they talked about protocols a bunch. Now,
Yeah.
it's a military group going to a mine that hasn't answered calls for 2 weeks, so
Yeah.
there's a little bit of that.
Yeah.
But there's also that kind of idea of that just it was just something a little different about this humanoid version.
Yeah. Well, and even later when the captain of the team or whatever, the leader of the team, has to shoot Belinda, she asks the doctor, is the physiology pretty much the same?
Yeah.
And
yeah.
he was like, I don't get what you mean, but ultimately, yes, it was pretty much the same. So yeah, but nobody had ever heard of Earth, and nobody had ever heard of humans.
Yeah. And that's kind of what I want to talk about, is because this is the third episode now where they've gotten bounced trying to go back to May 24th, 2025.
Yep.
And they've been using these, what did they call them? I'm trying to remember what the device...
It's like a transponder.
It's what it is, but they're calling it something else.
It looks like electric guitar.
I was just going to say, it's a flying V guitar.
Yeah.
And the doctor's slinging it over his shoulder and was carrying it like a guitar for a bit. Them all having this conversation that we've never heard of Earth, but we've heard about this particular planet 400,000 years ago having all the diamonds destroyed or whatever.
Yeah.
So 400,000 years into the past, we're 50,000 years into the future from where they were previously. So there's some math in there that's not mathing. It's Doctor Who, so...
Right. Well, I mean, I guess we'll find out because, I mean, it's pretty obvious that Earth is supposed to be destroyed on May 24th, 2025.
Yeah.
So...
Yeah, and we got Mrs. Flood as the person who was receiving the end of the episode, the end of the mission debrief from the couple of the people who actually stayed alive, and that she showed a picture of this flying V guitar thing, and she's like, "That's exactly what I was looking for. Thank you so much for being, so helpful." So there's definitely something that Mrs. Flood knows, or is hoping. Now I'm spitballing. Is hoping that the doctor is working it out. She's something.
Yeah, I mean, she's like the lady. I don't remember what her name ultimately ended up being in the last season.
Yeah.
Where she keeps showing up.
Yeah.
Except she was there too in the last season, so I'm confused as to...
I am confused. There's the game master who said, I'm answering to somebody
Yeah,
bigger.
she could be the big.
Yeah.
That would be
Or
crazy.
she's the angel trying to help return Earth. Like there's been no explanation, so that's why that's kind of fun to have the speculation of there's been no explanation of who Mrs. Flood is. Why was she talking to us as the audience last season, or the start of this season? Why does she keep showing up, and why does she's so concerned about the doctor trying to figure out what happened to Earth?
Right, or to get back or whatever.
Yeah. So I appreciate that. Like, I don't need to have everything spoon-fed to me. I need some stuff to be spoon-fed to me. But when you have an ongoing story arc that you like this, I don't want it revealed until the end.
Yeah.
That was kind of what they did with the same kind of character last season, who was on all the different timelines because Shutek had placed her all throughout time,
right,
while he was attached to the TARDIS,
right.
And so I really like that's one of the things that I really missed about the previous iteration of the Doctor was that this is the Adventure of the Week show, but there's that underlying story arc, and there's this underlying story arc that they can't get back to Earth, and they have to do all these side quests.
There's actually several potential underlying story arcs, which may all be the same thing, but you have, Belinda can't get back to Earth on on the day she left, which was May 24th, 2025, because, and then you have the Mrs. Flood of it all, and then you have the Maestro, the
Game Master, yeah, Harbinger,
all of that. So yeah, there are potentially multiple underlying ongoing stories, but they may all end up being the same thing.
For a moment in this episode, I thought that that's what they were doing, was introducing another character, another godlike creature who was affecting everybody's perception. Kind of thing with it. But when they revealed that it was this creature from the episode Midnight, that just manipulates people to cause havoc, essentially. Like that's all it's really doing. It's not eating, it's not feeding off of it, and it's just being mischievous in a deadly form. And so I thought that's where they were going with it, but ultimately that's not what they ended up doing.
For now, because it did end up attaching itself, even though the captain killed herself.
Yeah, and that wasn't. I'm going to say yes. I'm agreeing that they left that very open, that it did get off. It did get off the planet with the one person, but it wasn't for sure said. It was not incubated. That's something completely different. Intimated that it had happened. So it's one of those like it's one of those it's headcanon until they actually say the words out loud.
Well, no, but I mean, she pretty much said that she heard whispering. So
did she say she heard whispering?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, because I don't think it was hinted at. I think they pretty much said that it had attached itself to her.
Huh. I didn't take it as that, but this is why we have these conversations, because I'm watching the show at the same time she's watching the show, and I'm seeing something one way and you're seeing it the other way.
Well, because the other person, because she was like, "What?" and she's like, "I think I saw something." And then she was like, "I hear whispering." I think she said, "I heard whispering," but the other person at least said she saw something. So I mean, I thought it was pretty blatant that it was attached to her.
Yeah. Okay.
But they're 40.
Belinda got shot for nothing, and the captain threw herself into the mine for nothing.
Yeah.
Which is a Doctor Who thing.
Yeah, I mean it. Like if you try to think about the, like the mechanics of it or the logistics of it, because all through the show they were like, well, if you kill the person who it's attached to, then it attaches itself to you.
Yeah.
Yada, 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 all the way down. That's why everybody in the place ended up dying, except it had to have attached itself to the first person. There had to have been, had to have been a first person.
Yeah.
So the captain kind of didn't think that all the way through.
Yeah.
That just because she killed herself doesn't mean that she kills the thing, because it was floating around out there or down in the well or whatever, all by itself, not attached to a human being or a humanoid
until they mined it and
released it.
So what we've learned from this show is don't mind anything. Don't drink the water on Mars.
Right. Because at first I was like, oh, is this because they played Tennant's music? And I was like, is this the planet that they dug to hell?
Yeah.
And they found the devil. And I was like, oh, I wonder if this is this planet. But then, they ended up saying that it was the diamond luxury resort planet or whatever. But
it's very interesting, the idea of that, of revisiting that particular episode.
Yeah, that's another. That's
because it's a standalone episode. It's the Doctor essentially by himself. It has no grand meaning to the rest of that series.
Yeah.
It's just interesting that that's the episode with Tenet when we all know that Tenet's still out there.
Yeah.
It's just that's why I brought up the question earlier is this kind of teasing something down the line? Is because that idea of why this episode? There's so many other episodes that Tenet has that is affected the overall story arc.
But there are a lot of these weird little
one-off
too.
episodes. Yeah.
So
the episode last week, even though it had I was going to say that's not really necessarily true. I was just saying, even though it had the actual Harbinger God.
Yeah.
It really felt like a one-off.
Yeah.
It really felt like a one-off.
But again, that goes back to the story of the week, the monster of the week, the adventure of the week, whatever.
Yeah.
They just have an underlying thing in them.
So far with these 3 episodes, we've had the introduction of the new companion. We've gotten the travel back in time into modern-ish story, modern history of the United States, of the world, and whatever. It just happened to be the United States this time and not the UK or whatever. This one was the going in the future, sci-fi, futuristic kind of thing. And then next week we have Ruby Sunday coming back,
right?
With her new boyfriend, with the actual monster of the week,
right?
And Belinda.
So
and the
they
doctor
will go
up.
to Earth, but just not the right time.
Right. So I wonder, maybe 2023-ish, 2024. That's like the 2 years you can do if you can't get back to, unless you're going to like January of 2025 or something like that, which is possible. From what they showed in the actual trailer, I'm just going off of what they showed in the little 30-second trailer. There was no Christmas stuff up, so that kind of eliminates some of that kind of time period stuff or whatever. And they were wearing summer or spring like clothes, so they could be going to like March, April.
Yeah, getting closer. Let's see.
Yeah.
So next weekend is like May 3rd.
Yeah.
And then May 10th. And then May 17th.
And then
so we have 3 more episodes before we get to the 24th.
Yeah.
And so next week's going to be that. So then we'll have 2 more. It's interesting. Like, you'd think maybe the Ruby Tuesday one would have been the one right before, right? They're
I was just thinking that.
Kind of getting closer in time.
Yeah, I was just thinking that. Like they got 2 readings. They've got to kind of triangulate themselves.
Yeah, they're jumping closer and closer and closer. Except, so we still have
the TARDIS always sends the Doctor where they're needed.
Yeah.
And if a former companion is in trouble, the TARDIS takes him there. It happens with Capaldi. It happens with Tenet. It happens with Sarah Jane shows up. Like, oh my god! Like, and she had her own show, and the Doctor would show up whenever she got something she couldn't handle on there. So but I'm interested in previous iterations of Doctor Who, the companions meeting each other go multiple directions. They go either, oh, you're having a good time, I had a good time, but I was cool, I'm like hanging out here, and then there's jealousy, or there's the
right, and I mean that usually
I was the cooler kid, and
that usually comes more of the companion having a crush on the Doctor, you know, or thinking, I mean, it's mostly a crush. So I don't expect either of them, because Ruby left on her own accord. She doesn't, you know, she's like, cool, I had fun, I got stuff to do, bye. And Belinda just wants to go home. She doesn't even want to be a companion. So I don't see there being.
So I want to talk about Varda for a minute as Belinda. When they announced her as the companion, we knew her from Andor. Vale and everybody talk amongst yourselves. We did this during the Andor review. We were like, I don't remember Cinta.
Cinta.
She's
Cinta. Yeah.
I gotta go back and watch Now You See Me Too.
Oh yeah.
She's in. I don't remember.
She's in a lot of stuff.
So in Andor, she's playing a very different character.
Yeah.
Very different character. I don't want to spoil anything for Andor if you haven't watched it yet, but she's playing a very, very different character.
Yep.
Here, she's playing this, although I want to go home, she's wide-eyed and maybe not necessarily enjoying it per se, but she is embracing the process.
I think she enjoyed, for the most part, the last episode. They got to dress up, and they went to the 50s, and that was, other than an animated thing trying to kill you. But she, I think she pretty much had fun. This one, she is not. This one's going to leave a bit of a scar because.
Well, she did get shot in the heart,
like literally and physically, literally and
metaphysically,
sure, literally, yeah. So, because people died,
yeah,
like a lot of people died,
yeah,
and she's a nurse, so that's going to give her. This is the episode where another companion would be like, "I want to go home. I'm done." You know, like Rose or Amy or or
Donna.
Yeah, this is the episode that the companion, like especially in a newer companion, they're like, "Yeah, I'm good. I don't want to do this anymore."
Yeah.
And then the TARDIS takes them someplace fun, and then they're like, okay, they get to help the Ood or something, and then they're like, oh my god, this was amazing, and they forget all about the fact that a bunch of people died.
I really liked that she instantly went into nurse mode when they found was it Alice even the others in the group were like, don't get close to her, she was instantly like, you're hurt, let me see how you are. And we haven't had that kind of thing since we've had Martha Jones. And so I like that type of let me rephrase this. I like a capable companion, not just a pretty face, which is not really fair. But for a while with Rose, she was just there. It was her evolution of jumping in and with both feet and talking people out of things. Yeah. Amy was much the same way. Rory was the same way. So, but Martha was that way. Donna took charge many times.
Yeah, but to be fair, Rose was 19 in the show,
and so was Amy.
She worked in but Amy was different because technically Amy met the Doctor when she was 8.
That's true.
Waited for him her entire life. So that's completely different. Like Rose is just go find a 19-year-old that and that's they hopefully have a job,
right?
And that's about all you can expect from them.
Fingers crossed that maybe in school, maybe
minimum. Hopefully they've at least got a job. Probably still living at home. She was still living at home.
Yeah.
So her world experience or knowing who she was she hadn't gotten there yet. So that was kind of her progression through the show.
Yeah. But I've been at least those last 2 episodes, Belinda has just jumped right in without thinking, which is kind of the Doctor's MO. The Doctor often jumps without looking, and they actually did jump without looking in this episode. But I really like this iteration, this version of the companion, because it puts the Doctor on notice not to do she's already called him out on his poo multiple times.
Yep.
And then when things go bad, she's the one who's stepping up to do things, and while the Doctor kind of goes and figures everything out.
Yep.
This is different than last season. Last season, it was always the humans or the people, the characters who showed up in the episode who solved the problem. It wasn't the doctor who solved the problem.
Right.
Every episode was like that last season.
Yep.
This season, it's very much the doctor is solving the problem because someone else is there to take care of the other stuff.
Yeah.
And I think that's a really good iteration of the doctor companion relationship.
Yeah.
Is that the doctor has been, he even mentioned it, my old brain or my old head is trying to work this out. And so if he's not stuck focusing on something else to keep somebody safe, he's able to work his way through to figure out what it actually was.
Sure.
And they split up this episode to kind of do that. And I just really like that.
Yep.
We talked about Ruby episode. I think that's about it for everything. I really like this episode. Like I said, I just found it interesting that the Midnight was the one that they went back to.
We'll have to go see if we can find Midnight and rewatch it because, like I said, I apparently have two bus episodes mashed together
they're both
in my brain.
Tenet.
Oh,
I think they're both Tenet.
No, they are.
Yeah.
Because the one on the desert where they go through the
portal.
The portal, that's Tenet.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
And with Daniel Coulier, so
let's get Daniel Coulier as the doctor. No? That would be I want Winston Duke as the next doctor, but that's just me. So let us know what you thought.
I don't think he will fit in the TARDIS.
It's bigger on the inside.
It is bigger on the inside.
He's gonna have to duck to go through the door, but they have to use both doors instead of just the one door where they slide through. So let us know what you thought of this episode in the comments down below. Please be nice. That is a requirement around here. If you're on the Spotify side, follow us here. Share with your friends, all your Whovian friends. We do one of these once a week with each episode, and we're doing Andor. Did I just do that? I just did that. And we're also doing Andor and Last of Us. This same kind of conversation thing. And if you're on the YouTube side, hit the bell for notifications, the subscribe button. And then we're on all the social media stuff: Facebook, Instagram, Blue Sky, TikTok. I'm writing for the Geekiary. Links in the description down below. And until next time, cult members, if you're in the Pacific Northwest, tell us about all your geeky places to go. And until next time, cult members, good afternoon, good evening, and good night now.